Tony, you know that they say that whenever a movie's like really really good, and like people make a lot of money in it, but it's in purgatory in movie in Hollywood. They say it usually gets a mediocre remake eventually. um, yeah. So anyway, fire it up, fire it up, fire it up. Schizophreniacast. We just watched the Crow 2024 remake. It was pretty bad. It
Yeah, it
was
was
shit, actually.
very bad. I mean, not
Um,
just a bad remake; it was a bad movie.
um, yeah, it sucks too because it took so long to fucking make the movie. So it's like um, for it to be like, I don't think it's like super. It's really mediocre. It's like mediocre bordering on shit. Um,
I don't even
there's
think
some.
that. I think it's shit.
Yeah, it's pretty. Cause I sort of understand what they were doing, but then like, or the director was trying to do, but then again, I don't want to give him too much credit, like, or give him any leeway, cause he seems like a douchebag.
Yeah,
But yeah, um, when they first announced it, like, I kind of figured that it was gonna be like bad, um, just because, just because of who they got, not who they got to direct it, but just like what I was hearing about it leading up to the movie being released, and like the only reason I watched it was because Bill Skarsgård was in it.
yeah, that gave me a lot of hope for the movie. I
Yeah,
mean, when I heard they were remaking The Crow, I it just automatically with all these bad remakes that they've been doing, I just automatically I'm like, okay, it's gonna be crap. It's gonna be crap. And then I think you told me that, oh hey, they got Bill Skarsgård to be because we tried to record a episode about like dream casting for the Crow, but then freaking Nostalgia Critic did one, and then we are like, we probably shouldn't just copy him. Um, and then we scrapped that. But I think in there you said Bill Skarsgård, right?
yeah. So Nostalgia Critic did it first, and I that's why I came up with the idea. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I mean, we had watched The Crow, and then we were like, oh man, if they did uh, you know, we were talking about like how there's been a remake in the works for a long time,
Mm-hmm.
and so we were talking about we just do this for fun every once in a while, where we kind of use actors, the current day actors, to do remakes, like
Mm-hmm.
how we would do them. And yeah, one of the things I said was like Bill Skarsgård would probably be the perfect um, Eric Draven because he's got that weird kind of um, like he's got that weird look where he's like sort of like a leading man, but he's also kind of weird looking. I mean, because Brandon Lee's just like straight up leading man. He looks like a leading man.
Mm-hmm.
But you kind of want that for that goth vibe. You want a dude who's not conventionally like a uh, like a model esque type of dude.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
when you think of Bill Skarsgård, you think of like it. You know what I mean? For the creepy factor, because he's a creepy looking guy.
Mm.
But then you watch something like Barbarian, which is one of my favorite horror movies of probably one of my favorite movies of all time. Crazy enough, because it only came out like 2 years ago,
Yeah.
and I'm more of an old movie type person. But in that he was really good too, and that movie gave me hope for this Crow one because in that movie he was a little bit mysterious. He was a little bit creepy, but when the female protagonist of the story warms up to him, he's very charming. You know what I mean? He's like really charming and kind of like I can see an artsy type of girl really falling for him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Which is perfect for The Crow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because Brandon Lee wasn't like super mega handsome. He looked kind of weird too. He had a big long face and all that stuff, but he was like charming, you know.
Mm.
So that's all you really needed for this type of movie. So uh yeah, I was stoked for that.
Well, without getting like I mean, the just for the casting, it's like without because like for some reason like now uh they want the flavor of the month in casting people now, like Timothy Chalamet or whatever. I'm sure like if some like young dude was gonna cast this movie, he'd put Timothy Chalamet as Eric Draven, and we were talking about that while we were doing the dream casting, and we just like groaned at the thought of it, and it sounds like something that they would do. So yeah, I kind of figured like if I had to pick someone right now who's an actor right now, a young actor who's who's been in movies recently, it would have to be Bill Skarsgård.
Yeah.
So, and I just thought it was perfect casting for the time, and then sure enough, that's what happened. But it just makes me feel bad that he's a good actor. It just makes me feel bad that he's in this movie. It's probably gonna he's gonna be known as the lame crow guy.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
I mean, he's already like they're already torpedoing his career, man. That Boy Kills World was awful.
Oh yeah, that was really bad.
He was awful in John Wick 4. I mean, that movie is just. I know a lot of people like it. I didn't like it, so you can say whatever about it. But him in it is off. He's awful in it.
You will bring up John Wick again too because it happens in this fucking movie.
He's not convincing as a bad guy at all in that movie. He's just not threatening.
Oh my god.
Which would have been good for the Crow too, because he's not very. I mean, he's scary in the fact that he can just get you. But like nobody was scared of him in the movie. They would just be like, "Look at this clown,"
I mean, I thought
in the original anyway.
Right. I which is funny because of the way that that's another thing I want to bring up later. But yeah, I mean, through some part of the movie, I thought there were some cool scenes in it. Later on, but and I thought it was pretty believable. But then it just like right after the cool scenes, something really fucking lame happens.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's just the directors. I don't think they know how to use him.
I don't think so either. They want to put a square peg in a round hole with him.
Yeah.
Where he should be the artsy actor guy, being in more movies like Barbarians and all that. Some stuff like that, The Devil All the Time. Things like that. He should be in more of those roles, but they want to, since he's the new hotness, they want to like here you get on the steroids, because he was on the steroids for this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And you're gonna kill everybody and be like the intimidating. Well, there's nothing intimidating about the guy. You know what I mean?
Mm.
He's about as intimidating as Nicolas Cage, who was like the comparison that I would make to him now, where Nicolas Cage should have probably been in more artsy movies, probably getting Oscars and stuff, but they just wanted to make Con Air over and over and over again,
right?
And it just torpedoed his career.
Yeah, that's true.
And then now later on, now he's in artsy fartsy movies, and those movies are great.
Yeah.
And he's great in them, and it's like, there you go. Should have been making these weird ass movies before.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with his acting style.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty good. That's a pretty good comparison, I think. I hope that's not where his career ends up.
No, I don't think so.
I mean, eventually the talent shines through, especially in this with the types of movies that Nicolas Cage is in. I mean, I'm sure if he's in like some of those artsy movies that are lower budget by like independent studios, he'll probably do way better.
Yeah, it looks like he is gonna be in some good stuff. He's gonna be in this movie called Emperor, where he's gonna play Philip II of Spain.
Oh, nice.
So that's a good role for him.
Yeah.
He's gonna be in I guess an It TV show called Welcome to Derry. So he's gonna be Pennywise again, and then he's also gonna be in Nosferatu. He's gonna be Count Orlok.
Oh, that's great.
In Nosferatu, that's an awesome role for him.
Okay, yeah. This is probably gonna be a bump in his career then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be just a bump in his career, but I see the potential that the movie could have had, or the movie had, in like where it just floundered. Yeah, it just floundered, and I feel like I don't even know why they released it. Maybe it was like something where the IP is like copyright or something is gonna get, and then they just push the shit out. Usually when they've been trying to make this movie for a long ass time. First of all, like, yeah, they've been trying to make this remake for a long time. They had, you know, I probably should have mentioned this earlier, but they had um, uh, the Crow remakes, and then they, I mean, not the Crow remakes, the Crow sequels, and then Jason Momoa. That's another thing. Jason Momoa was supposed to play the Crow.
Thank God that
Yeah, we were talking about that too. When that's actually what initially started our talk about the remake, was that Jason Momoa was trying his best to be to play Eric in the remake, and he had like another director who was all gung ho about making the new Crow movie. I think it was like some Argentinian director or something like that. He's I think he's from Europe, and we just thought it was a horrible idea.
Mm-hmm.
We just thought it was like so bad, and then we're there's like film there's like clips of him with the makeup on and stuff. And
Yeah. Oh my God.
it just looks so lame. It looks so like this dude's just trying his best to look like mysterious. And he's like a big he's just a big dumbass. but or like he's just, I don't know. He's too bulky and like weird and goofy. And then this is just something I want to point out. I said, oh yeah, he's a shit Eric Draven or whatever. It's like a shit crow, but he would make a good Lobo. Remember?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I said he would make a good Lobo, and recently I think he's been cast as Lobo for an upcoming movie for DC.
Oh, I can't wait.
Yeah,
That's gonna be good.
so that's so that's a little tidbit of information. Yeah, so they've been trying to make it for a long time, and it's just it sucks that it like came out so fucking shitty. Yeah, and you can really see where it the decent ideas in the movie, and then it's just like the execution is just really bad.
Yeah,
They have-
like the modernizing the world, making him look a little bit more modern and stuff like that. That's all fine stuff, you know what I mean? Because they could have easily just had it take place in the '90s and then make him look exactly like the old movie. But I mean that wouldn't have worked.
Right.
So that stuff is fine. You know what I mean? Tatted up and stuff like that. I mean, you know, that's just how people look nowadays. You know, I know there was a lot of complaints about the look, how he looked in the movie, but I thought it was fine because, you know, that's how people looked. Brandon Lee, that's how people looked back in the '90s when you were doing rock music and stuff like that. I don't think he was a musician in this movie, was he?
No, he was just some rando. I think
He's some rando criminal, like little scumbag kid.
He was a musician. The Shelley character.
Yeah.
Which is so the Shelley character is played by F.K. Twigs, right? Is her name?
Yeah, F.K. Twigs. Yeah.
And,
so she's a musician in real life.
Yeah,
so.
she's a singer.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I don't know. I don't really give a shit. I don't think anybody gives a shit.
No, nobody cares about her. She was in like one movie called Honey Boy or something like that, where she just played herself.
Yeah. That's
Which
Shia
also,
LaBeouf's
by the
movie.
way, that movie Honey Boy is not about the guy from Cromartie High School's secret account where he would send letters and jokes to the freaking radio station as Honey Boy.
Is that really the fucking? Is that really his name, Honey Boy?
Yeah.
Oh,
He would
okay.
send in letters to the radio station, and he would sign his name as Honey Boy.
Okay, what a reference. No, he's definitely not that. That's not the one where he like punched the troll, is it?
No, that was the that was the guy from the other school where he found the online troll.
Okay, yeah, we'll talk about Cromartie High School in a different episode.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, let's do a Cromartie episode, please. But yeah,
Um,
go ahead.
Yeah, so yeah, no one gives a shit about her. She's terrible.
No, she's a horrible actor. She's
Yeah.
terrible. She looks like a rat. She's
So-
freaking
Yeah.
disgusting looking.
You know
She looks
what's
gross.
The worst part about it is so the movie it's just the movie is really dependent on everybody's been talking about this where the movies they build on the relationship between Shelley and Eric leading up to him becoming the Crow or them being killed. And when you think about it, it's like everyone was saying that this movie is fucking boring. Like, it's just boring and drawn out. and it's because it's really dependent on their relationship. It shows a lot of them. It shows them meeting. It shows them like basically falling in love, meeting in a weird uh meeting in like a sort of rehab or something like that. Because Eric himself is like a troubled youth, even though he's like 30.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like they show him when he was growing up. He lived in a trailer park that like in a weird, well, not a trailer park, but like a weird dead ranch where like nothing grows or
Mm-hmm.
something. His mom, I think, was a drug addict that OD'd,
Yeah.
and it just shows that he was basically like a neglected youth, goes through the foster care system,
Mm-hmm.
and then eventually ends up in this weird rehab type of thing. Or
What the hell was it?
I
thought it
don't
was
know what the fuck it was.
I thought it was juvenile
I thought it was, yeah,
detention, and then it was like it was co-ed,
yeah.
but they weren't in cells or anything. They were all like everywhere,
What
and
the
they
fuck?
were in. They had private rooms, and
When I was watching it, I was like, what the fuck kind of place has men and women in the same troubled men and women in the same facility?
yeah,
It's like
exactly.
the dumbest shit ever.
And they
It's-
had prison uniforms, and they had holding cells and stuff,
Mm.
but it wasn't a prison.
yeah, I was like, I had no idea what the fuck. I don't remember them mentioning anything about what it actually was in
Mhm.
there. And then but at one point they said Shelly comes up to talk to Eric, and he's all like, I don't think you should be talking to me, or the guards don't say, are gonna, you're gonna get into trouble or something like that for talking to me,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because men and women aren't supposed to talk to each other. But like why would you even do that? It's just so contrived because the plot needs them to meet each other.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they're just gonna put them in a place like that. Why didn't they fucking meet in a bar or something, or meet in like?
Why weren't they already together?
Yeah, that's
You know
another
what I
thing,
mean?
too,
Why
yeah.
weren't they already together? That was a complaint that I was saying during the movie, where I'm just like, why are they showing their origin story of falling in love like that? They didn't have to do that in the original Crow. You already knew they were in love. They would just show them like eating like feeding each other cheeses and fucking all that gay shit. In the movie, and you knew that they were together and they loved each other. I mean, people aren't dumb. They can put two and two together when they're like, "Oh, here's my ring. I'm gonna propose to you," and all this stuff. People assume that they're in love already.
Well,
So
that's another thing too, is that there's some aspects. It's funny too because they didn't do that in the original comic either.
mm-hmm.
It just kind of it shows it's Eric's story, so it's the point from the point of view of Eric. So the thing that makes you care about it is how much Eric loves Shelly. So you see all the in the point is that you see all of the moments that Eric remembers and Eric loves about Shelly,
Mm-hmm.
and all the moments that he shared with her that that's driving him to go get revenge. So you see how much it tortures him, and you like Eric because Eric is not Eric is a likable guy.
Mm-hmm.
So you see all the images of how much it's torturing him that Shelly's gone. It's not necessarily that we know every little bit and detail about Shelly. It's just that we see that Eric really, really loved her.
Mm-hmm.
But this one, they kind of like they show you how much Eric loved you, and you feel bad for him. I mean, they showed you how much Eric loved her, and you feel bad for him
Mm-hmm.
because you, and that's what drives the story.
Mm-hmm.
But in this one, you kind of see Shelly, and you don't care about her,
Mm-hmm.
and she's like also like part of the story a little bit too much,
Mm-hmm.
which could have been fine. It could have been fine, but like
The chick is such a bad actress.
She's a bad
you just did
actress.
not want to
Yeah.
see her. You know what I mean?
She's a
And
bad-
she's gross looking and horrendous to the eyes.
she's more like a sex doll. They show her ass and all this stuff in the thing. They do that in the Crow comic book,
Mhm.
but it's more. I feel like it's something different. It's like kind of showing, like, it might be like a sexual thing to a certain extent, but like,
Mhm.
it doesn't feel like that. It didn't feel like that to me when I was reading the book. Which,
Yeah.
by the way, I read the book.
Yeah.
Uh, so like you just don't. So there's like this long section of the movie that's just fucking unnecessary.
Hmm.
Um,
That took up like a third of the movie.
yeah.
Just showing them like escaping the center,
Mm.
going to that apartment which apparently she was rich. But you know what I think it was? I think what they were trying to do was trying to since it's hack writers, because one of the writers is Zach Balin, who's known for King Richard, Gran Turismo, and Creed. None of those movies being The Crow,
Yeah.
or anything like it. I
Yeah.
think he's like in the art department on Side Effects, which would be a good movie if he had written Side Effects. Would be a good way to transition to this movie, but he didn't write it. He was just in the art department, so that didn't help anything. And the other writer is a guy named William Schneider who has no credits whatsoever. I think he has like 2 shorts or whatever. So he's a brand new writer. Won't be seeing him again. Sorry, Zach. I mean, sorry, William. But yeah. So they didn't. I don't think they understood how to write a story where it needed to get to the point quickly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think he was the build up was a little too long for that. Like I don't know, maybe the guy's used to writing stories for stupid people, because it's Creed is not really a high IQ type movie, you know. Um, Gran Turismo, you just fill up all the scenes with racing scenes, and then maybe once in a while the main character's like, did you watch Gran Turismo?
No.
Okay, so yeah, maybe you fill up some scenes with the guy being like, "Oh, I need to win this race" and stuff like that. But you fill it up with action scenes, and then you explain things here and there. But this movie needed to get that out of the way quick to get to the Crow.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then you can pepper in their love scenes like they did in the original, where they get murdered at the beginning, he turns into the Crow, and then little by little you start to realize why he's doing what he's doing.
Right.
But I don't think they felt I don't think they knew how to write that.
Well, I mean the comic book is like it's just a revenge story, right? It's a
Mhm.
revenge kind of like action story. So, yeah, they really didn't need to include that at all. Um, I mean, it's possible to have done it, but did they really need to? Not really.
No, especially with someone so unlikable.
Yeah,
Because that
exactly.
chick was like I said, just a terrible actress and a just an eyesore. She's just an eyesore.
Yeah,
You
pretty
know what I
much.
mean?
Um, yeah, so they do, so yeah, they meet there, and then
Yeah, and then they escape and they have their little love thing where they go to the apartment and they do drugs and all this stuff because everybody's got to do drugs now.
yeah,
Um, uh, and yeah, and then they just show you that they show you them falling in love all at the beginning.
mm,
For some reason, you know what I mean? Because if you want to stuff all that stuff at the beginning, then the rest of the movie needs to just be turbo, get to the point.
yeah,
But they didn't do that either. You know?
yeah. Um, yeah, they did not do that either because he builds up to being the Crow. I mean, he gets so eventually they get found out because or they get caught because Shelly is on the run from like an evil businessman.
Yeah,
Right.
who's a demon?
Yeah, he's a demon. That didn't bother me so much.
Mhm.
In the original movie, they have the Top Dollar
Mhm.
is the main bad guy, who's not the main bad guy in the comic book.
Mhm.
The main bad guy in the comic book is T-Bird,
Right.
who's not in the original movie. Um, he has his girlfriend who has like who's like understands spiritual things like
Yeah, she's
understands.
into the occult.
Yeah, she's into the occult.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Bai Ling.
yeah,
Yeah.
Um, who she make any other movies besides that?
Oh yeah, well, yeah, dude. Bai Ling was like in everything in the late '90s and early 2000s.
I remember her being on
She was in Baby Mama or whatever that Baby Daddy or whatever that movie was. She was married to Anthony Anderson,
Oh God. Okay.
and
Well,
then she was in a bunch of other shit. I can't. She was in Mortal Kombat, I think. Wasn't
Oh.
that? Wait, was that Bai Ling? I might be being racist right now. I
you're
don't
being
know.
racist. Yeah. Okay. Well. Yeah. So she was the she was basically like telling Top Dollar, hey, this is all this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
or this is what's going on with this guy. But the main bad guy is um I guess he's
He's some
like
like weird occult like
he's a wizard or something like that.
he's like a wizard, demon conjuring necromancer freaking
Yeah, necromancers.
business guy who, by the way, they never explain what the fuck. That's it. I mean, just what the fuck. You know what I mean? In the original one, Top Dollar is his name.
Mm.
You kind of figure out as the story progresses that there are people in the city that don't want to sell their apartments
Yeah.
for greedy landlords or
Yeah.
something like that. It's all communist and shit, but they don't want to sell their places for greedy landlords or whatever. And you find out that Eric Draven is one of those holdouts
Right.
that they don't want to give it up. So that's why he went over there and they killed them. You know what I mean? Because they go and they want to use Halloween time or the witching hour, or whatever the fucking shit was called, where they burn everything. Hell
Day?
Week, something like that.
Hell
Anyways,
that's
they go and they burn everything and bomb everything to get people to drive people away so they can renovate the buildings.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Very simple motivation for the bad guys there.
In the comic book, it was just random. Their car broke down on the side of the road, and these like drug addict goons
Mm-hmm.
ended up killing them, just randomly because they saw some people and they wanted Shelly,
Yeah.
basically, and later on in the story of the comic book, it's kind of like one of those movies where like a year later they've moved up in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Where T-Bird, who's the main bad guy, he has like a gang of like goons now. He's not like a huge businessman or whatever. He's just a guy who's like a leader of a gang.
Yeah, he has a bunch of gooners.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
they're all
They all come in and they all have like bald spots and like a big giant hand from gooning all the time, and they're like, "Hey, wait a minute! I hired goons.
Well,
How did I get these guys?"
I mean, with what they do in the comic book, yeah, I guess you could call them. That's the ultimate. That's what gooners become eventually. So, so it kind of progresses. The original movie progresses the same way, very closely to the comic book. But this one is just like definitely leans really into the way more into the supernatural aspect of it. In the comic, I want to bring that up. In the comic, you don't know if Eric is having a supernatural event happening to him.
Yeah.
You don't know if it's he just kind of sees the crow as he's being killed,
Mm-hmm.
and he wakes up from a coma because he shoot him in the head.
Yeah.
He wakes up from a coma, dies, and then he's in the hospital, and he sees the lights going out, and that's when he sees the crow coming down towards him.
Right.
So you, and then later on, it's just in flashbacks that they show this. So you don't know if they never explicitly say that's a supernatural event. You don't even know if he's like invincible. He just gets hurt a lot and stabbed and stuff like that, and he doesn't die. So, whereas the movie takes it to the next level, it's like, yeah, it's definitely supernatural. And then this movie is like, yeah, supernatural. There's this whole world that people get sent to. There's multiple people it's happening to, all that stuff. So they take it like another step in this movie, which is not something I thought. The director is like backtracking because he's like saying that he wants it to be more like the comic book.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, we can talk about that more later.
We talk about the director a little bit because he's bad.
Yeah, he's pretty bad. But after the boss or whatever, he the main bad guy, he's trying to catch Shelly, and eventually he does catch up with them after they've been living their lives, after they've escaped from the rehab / fucking juvie place,
Mm-hmm.
and he ends up killing them both, or he sends his goons to kill them both. Eric gets resurrected in a weird fucking um,
Yeah, he goes to like the ghost world or whatever, and there's
yeah,
like a small Indian man. And it's like redeem life, sir, and then he
exactly, yeah.
redeems life, and then he comes back.
Yeah, so it's there's a lot of weird backtracking in this movie. It's like they want to do something but they don't want to do it. Um, and so yeah, he gets sent to this purgatory thing, and then the Indian dude explains everything that's happening to him through over the phone because he's the IT of the fucking of purgatory, and uh, Eric gets sent back. He doesn't really. He sort of understands what's going on. He decides to get revenge. Um, Kind of flounders a bit, trying to start killing all the goons that attacked him.
Mm-hmm.
Right. One of the goons like sort of remembers him, and he has like an awkward like killing. He has an awkward like assassination of he has an awkward assassination of that goon,
Mm-hmm.
and which is so like it's so shit compared to both the other two things, because one thing that I'll start from the comic book. One thing that James O'Barr in the comic book
Mm-hmm.
said, one of his editor notes was like, "Hey, there's like this is like too straightforward of a revenge thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why don't you add more character depth to what's going on,
Yeah.
right? Um, yeah." And then he's like, "Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'll add more character depth to it," which I assume is why this is bad. For the 2024 movie. So when he talks to when he's hunting down the goons that killed his girlfriend, he knows each of them. He knows
Mm-hmm.
their names. Even in the movie, the first person he kills, Tintin.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the dude that looks like Milli Vanilli.
Yeah.
He talks to him about what he did, and then they have like a little back and forth where it shows how shitty Tintin is as a person.
Mm-hmm.
In the comic book, he does the same thing with some of the goons. In this movie, he can't even get the words out. He can like barely like figure out what he's doing and stuff, and you're more like focused on, God damn, he sucks, right?
Yeah.
Like, man, he's like he's a big bitch.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like, I have no idea why the fuck they decided to do that. Maybe it's because they wanted to play up his kind of softness,
Mm-hmm.
but that doesn't mean that he's like a just because he's weak and he's gentle doesn't mean that he's what's the word, spiritual.
Yeah.
He's not philosophical. He's not which he's both in the comic and in the 1991 movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess they just wanted to. They spent so much time on the fucking. They could have built that up during the section when he was talking to Shelley, but Shelley's more of a fucking philosophical person than he is.
Yeah.
So, wow, they're really. I just realized that they're just screwing over the character.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. They did that on purpose.
They might as well just have made her the fucking crow. I
Exactly.
mean, really, and just ruined up the whole fucking movie. That's it. You know what I mean? They gave him no personality, nothing. They gave him nothing, and they gave her everything. So why didn't you just make her the fucking crow and just make sure that the movie didn't make any money? Because they didn't make any money anyway. So
It was basically what happened with Spider-Man.
mm-hmm.
That's another comparison I want to bring up later. So, oh god, sorry, this just took all the wind out of my sails just because I didn't. I should have realized that from the very beginning.
Yeah. Well, no, it's fine. It's just it's just the way it is. But
Anyway, well, regardless,
yeah, the goons didn't have any personality. I mean, they were just kind of nothing. They were just kind of there to be shot and killed and cut
True.
up and all that stuff. They didn't have any. This wasn't a straightforward revenge plot, really. It was kind of like he was just killing people because he was trying to figure out what the hell was going on.
it was muddled up, but it wasn't like I felt like the other the comic book and the other movie are more fleshed out and streamlined at the same time.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
Well, that's the That's the mark of a good writer.
Yeah.
When you can make it go quick, but have the audience understand what the hell's going on.
Mm.
You know what I mean? And make it interesting. That's it.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's all you have to do.
So yeah, he sucks. I don't remember any of the, and I barely remember any of the goons that he killed.
No, because none of them had any personality.
Yeah, in the 1991 version, you knew Tintin, the dude that looked like Milli Vanilli.
Yeah.
You knew
Claptrap. You knew
Claptrap.
Cheetah. No, I don't know.
I knew Iggy. I knew what is it called?
There was Pet Shop. There was
Yeah. I knew Cool Ice.
Yeah, Cool Ice.
No, it's the dude that played what's his name? He was in the Warriors. There's Tintin. No, actually, I don't know this. Cut this out.
Yeah, I don't know their fucking names. Who cares? But
you remember their personalities.
Yeah, you
basically.
remember them. Yeah.
So and then eventually you get to Top Dollar, but this one was just kind of like.
And Top Dollar was a way more interesting bad guy than this dude. This dude is like this main bad guy played by Danny Houston, who has no credits to speak of. He's been in a bunch of TV stuff. When you see him, you'll recognize him, but you won't know from where. So if anybody watches this movie, you'll be like, "Oh yeah, I know that guy," but you won't. Trust me, you won't know from where.
Yeah. So. I just didn't. They just weren't built up as much as some of the other ones. I mean, there is faceless bad guys that get killed in the 1991 version and in the comic book, but like those small moments of character building are part of the reason why people remember it as being like more than just an action movie. And so and that's why so many it resonates with audiences like or like different like demographics and stuff. Like the goth people like it, people that like action movies like it, women like it specifically for a certain set of romance, certain type of romance.
Mm-hmm.
And and kids like it because it's like a superhero movie.
Yeah.
So, but this one, yeah, it just fucks it up completely. He like kills a bunch of like random.
Literally just kills a bunch of randos. There's no
a
memorable moments in this movie.
There was a girl in there. The CGI is good, right? Like when he gets his leg run over. No, that was bad.
No, his leg looked pretty bad.
His leg looked like shit. When he gets cut, right? When he was resurrected, he gets like stabbed.
Mm-hmm.
And then he like gets cut on his side, and
it like stitches itself back up, but it looks really bad.
Yeah, it looks like shit. He doesn't it doesn't look that great. Any of it really. But he goes through the this movie doesn't have style either. It's like in some of the scenes, it's like everything is just kind of, I don't even know what to call it. The original had that 90s music video look.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it looked like Batman. It looked like
Arkham Asylum, the comic book.
Yeah.
Basically. It looked like maybe like some Cure albums, photo shoots.
Mm-hmm. It had the industrial Nine Inch Nails look, which Nine Inch Nails did the whole soundtrack. So
yeah,
it just, that was good for the time. Like I said, I don't mind that they updated it, but just the story and the pacing and the characters and all that stuff ruined everything.
Well, the look of the city is also weaved into the story. Like when it's always raining, he says to I don't know what
the little girl. Oh yeah, who wasn't in this movie either.
She was not in this movie. That's another part. She's in the comic book too.
Yeah,
that's another moment that like people that people remember of that. That's another character building moment where you see the side of Eric where he's not just a bad guy. He's just not a dude that just kills people. He really does care about the people around him. So it's not. That's another part to it too. Is that like people have been saying that Shelley is like a one note character and stuff like that, but the little girl adds a bit of depth to Eric's empathy.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really sad moment in the comic book too. Like
Mm-hmm.
that part is really
Which part?
where he talks to the oh god, I can't remember. I think her name is Shelly.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he talks to her because he draw James O'Barr. He draws out that interaction with him and her a bit more, and they don't know each other.
Mm-hmm.
He's there to get Fun Boy.
Mm-hmm.
He's there to get Fun Boy, and he meets her on the stoop where she's like just hanging out because her mom's a prostitute.
Yeah.
And so he talks with her for a little bit, and he understands what's going on, obviously, and then has a little like interaction with her, and he gives her Shelly's necklace, Shelly's ring,
Mm-hmm.
as a token, just to be nice to her, and like it's just really sad. And so that's not in this. That's not in the 2024 version.
Yeah.
It's like
Well, they got rid of her and they got rid of Ernie Hudson,
yeah, that's true.
who was a cop character, where he
Yeah.
has a whole conversation with him in his apartment, the cop's apartment, where you can kind of see what his motivations are.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. You know what I mean? All these characters that helped you understand what was going through the Eric Draven's mind or whatever are like completely absent from this movie, and you just have to go off of the fact that he just wants revenge.
That's another part, is that Eric is able to there's other people that look at Eric and they see that they're able to interact with him. I mean, to a certain extent, like he's very standoffish with Ernie Hudson in some parts of the movie, but like I think he ultimately understands that he's decent. So that's another aspect of character building, and then this movie doesn't have shit. It's just like it was funny. They tried their best to add more to the add more character development, and they did the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Just because they don't know, like you said, they don't know how to write that.
Mm-hmm.
And while keeping a coherent story.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which wasn't coherent anyway, because I still don't understand what the motivation of the bad guys were in this one. I know they were like demon summoners, and they were possessing people to kill. They were possessed, like they possessed AFK Twigs to kill somebody, and they made them kill them to sacrifice to some kind of demon or something. But they never explained what the demon was, why they were doing it, why they had to do it. If the guy even liked doing it, if he was just a puppet in all the things, or he was doing it to stay alive, if he was some kind of like ancient guy that was staying alive off of killing people, or they never explained any of that.
from what I've gathered, nobody really understands his motivation, the main bad guy's motivation.
Mm-hmm.
Even if there is some explanation of it, they did not do a good job of explaining it, and it barely holds your interest enough for you to even give a shit.
Yeah.
So like, so the movie is not well written just in general.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, that's, what we're trying to say is the movie
sum it
sucked,
up
people.
too quickly. I don't want to sum it up too quickly because we still have more to get through. But like, so, but like, and then, so fucking bad guy's trying to get Shelly or whatever because spoilers, he's fucking he tried to put her into a ritual where he like possessed her. He's able to possess people and force them into take over their bodies and force them to do horrific acts for a some kind of demon that he signed a contract with. I don't know how the fuck that plays into The Crow, because by the end of the movie, once Eric starts building up, starts killing people, main bad guy catches wind of what Eric is doing, finds out who he is, and tries to go take care of him. For some reason now the main bad guy, businessman, wants Eric's power.
Mm-hmm.
He wants Eric's power now, even though he's got his own thing going.
Mm-hmm.
These motherfuckers are going different places and then bringing it all together by the end of it. But they wrote themselves into like this weird, I don't know what the fuck they were thinking, honestly. But
yeah.
So Eric has killed people, like killed a bunch of goons for a while.
It's goon killing for the next 40 minutes, man.
Exactly, yeah.
That's all it is. No drama about it or anything. Like no drawing it out or anything. He just John Wicks them and then that's it. You know what I mean? He has a jacket that says goon on the back.
Yeah. Oh,
I don't know why he has that jacket.
That.
And also at the beginning, I think I said this during the movie too, because I want to get all the jokes out too, because this is getting too serious. But he also, I think I said that Bill Skarsgård looks like a lesbian.
Yeah,
and
really
I was like, oh, that he looks like a chick I would date. Like,
he looks like I don't even know. He looks like a drug dealer's weird girlfriend.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So definitely some girl I would date. But he looks like that chick that got in trouble for that whole video game scandal.
Yeah.
I don't know what her name is, but
Frost?
no, Frost, but also the other one. She has black hair, and I don't know what her name is, but she got in trouble for that whole Happy Tree or whatever that company is that makes all the games woke or whatever.
Oh, Sweet Baby.
Yeah, Sweet Baby.
Okay.
She was implicated in that or whatever. If you ever see that chick, everybody look up the Sweet Baby Inc. I don't know if she's the head of it or something, but look her up. She looks exactly like the freaking Crow in this movie. She looks like Bill Skarsgård in this movie.
Well, we did talk about a little bit about the set design and all that stuff. It's just
The Dark Knight.
I don't even know where the fuck it is.
It's The Dark Knight.
It's the Dark Knight, but is it in Chicago? It's supposed to be in Detroit.
Well, it's a made-up city. Remember, we figured that out in the thing.
Yeah.
It's Edge City, where all the goons go to Edge.
That's funny. Holy shit!
So fucking
That's
hilarious.
fucking hilarious. Yeah.
But yeah, it's Edge City. And it exists, I guess. But the funny part is the state that Edge City is Illinois, so it's basically Chicago.
Oh my god, really?
You know what I mean?
That's lame.
So they could have just whatever. They had to make up a city.
So fucking lame.
But they do that. Okay, so he kills a bunch of people, and then there's no drama to it, and then
he goes to meet up with a friend that we just barely meet. They made him up in like the first. Well, I mean, it was like some guy
he
that
had
was
no
helping
involvement in the movie. It was just random.
It was.
He's just like, hey, I know you. That's it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not that. I mean, it's not.
You can do that in movies, but that guy was really like he was really just a throwaway.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't even know how I didn't even know Eric had friends in this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's Eric goes to hang out with him, and then they both basically get killed by the goons.
Mm. We're gonna say goons a lot in this, but go ahead.
Yeah, Eric is resurrected again, right? He goes to purgatory again, and the Indian dude that's like telling him, basically telling him what's going on with all this, which they could have easily replaced with There's in the original comic book, there's a character that's a skull.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'll bring up later because there's more to that comic that I learned a lot of shit about that comic book that I want to bring up.
Okay, well let's finish up the plot and then we'll get to that.
True. Okay.
Because that'll be probably the last 30 minutes.
Just remember that there's a skeleton in the
and it goes boo.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that guy basically tells him that you need to fucking nut up. You gotta fucking either your girlfriend's gonna be dead or you're gonna be like. Or you're gonna nut up and start being the Crow or whatever, and then the Crow fuses into him for whatever reason.
Mm-hmm.
The Crow fuses into him.
Mm-hmm.
Like he becomes the Crow, the new Crow now. He's not just a Dark Souls fucking undead guy. He's the Crow now.
Yeah.
And so
last 30 minutes of the movie.
Last 30 minutes of the movie, he becomes the Crow, and then he starts
John Wicking everybody.
Everybody. Total like attitude change. Completely different person now. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. And then so he goes to this big gala where all the bad guys are at.
Yeah.
It just immediately goes to the gala where there's a bunch of bad guys or whatever. And then remember I told you that I'm like, why is a millionaire guy driving a Pontiac Fiero?
Yeah. So the girlfriend of the main bad guy is for some reason going to this gala with another dude,
Mm-hmm.
and he's driving. The gala's like a big black tie event,
Mm-hmm.
and they pull up in that fucking muscle. They pull up in a muscle car, basically, or not
Yeah,
muscle
it was
car,
like it was a
80s.
weird car. I want to say it was a Pontiac Fiero. It could have been an old style Lamborghini, but it was like definitely from the 80s.
Yeah, that blocky kind of like shiny, like kind of like initial.
I guess for all the kids would know, like almost like a DeLorean from the Back to the Future, from
Yeah.
Black to the Future, the exploitation movie.
Yeah.
Um,
Back to the Future.
yeah, Back to the Future. So something that looks like that.
Yeah, and then we just we were like, what
Yeah, I
the
was
fuck?
like, why is he pulling up? I was like, well, I was thinking that guy was cool though, because I think later on he pulls out like a 52.
Yeah.
I mean a 42, fucking Beretta.
But it's a
FS, and I'm like, oh, this guy's me if I was rich. I'd be driving a Pontiac Fiero. I'd have a Beretta on me. It'd be kind of cool.
yeah, but you'd also be half his age. So
Yeah, exactly, and a demon of some kind. But he he goes in there and he just kills everybody up. John Wicks everybody. Just starts getting stabbed and killing everybody, cutting everybody's heads off or whatever.
This is the scene that everybody was praising, and I was like, I was
praising it too. That should have been the whole goddamn movie.
To a certain extent. To me, it was like they're doing this because I don't. This is where I start taking away a lot of credit from the director.
Mm-hmm.
I was like looking at this scene. I was like, why are they at a black tie event?
Mm-hmm.
Why are they in an opera? This
Mm-hmm.
is The Crow. This is supposed to be like a goth, kind of grunge, dark tale about low-level gangsters,
Mm-hmm.
and a guy, a guy who no one should care about, getting revenge for, it's a smaller story. It's not, fucking government officials, billionaires and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Why is this happening? And then I realized to myself, oh, because John Wick does shit like this.
Yeah.
It's popular for the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like John Wick has an operatic score,
Mm-hmm.
and everything's like a secret society and shit like that. There's barely any secret society in The Crow. There's like in the 1991 version, it was like not that big of a deal. It's just like a gang leader
Mm-hmm.
or a small time mob.
Yeah,
boss.
and in the movie, they were tied to a bigger thing,
Yeah,
a bigger racket, but they were still low-level gangster guys.
they were just
You
more
know
like mid-level drug dealers.
Yeah.
Mid-level drug boss,
Mm-hmm.
and
Which they could have did in this one. They could have had like, some like SoundCloud rapper guys who are in a gang or something like that.
yeah, yeah. So they could have did that, but they, John Wick is really popular, so let's put John Wick in there.
Yeah. Crow Wick.
Yeah, Crow Wick.
Uh-huh.
Exactly. And he has a samurai sword for some reason. I mean, to be fair, in the comic book, he just happens to have a samurai sword.
Yeah.
I think it's after. This is gonna bring up more memories. After he goes to the pawn shop, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
It might be before that, but you already kind of know that he's already gathering weapons and stuff. But in this movie, he's just like a random dude.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he does some samurai sword John Wick bullshit. He gets stabbed in the stomach and then black ink comes out of him.
Yeah. Well, to be fair about the John Wick thing too, they did have a big sword fight at the end because Top Dollar is a fucking fencer of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of cool, but they didn't have that in this movie.
Well, yeah, he's a drug dealer. His sword was the samurai sword.
Yeah.
And then I think Eric, the Crow, he had he like pulled off a piece of a roof.
Yeah.
To fight him with it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes sense. I mean, he gets that's another part I want to bring up later. He gets shot to death with a bunch of guns.
Which I'm shocked that they put that in there. I know they know what they were referencing.
Yeah, exactly.
They know what they were referencing when they just ventilated him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well,
that's kind of rough.
It might not. It's not that. I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
I would. It's reminiscent of that, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and then so yeah, in the 2024 version of the movie, he gets shot. He goes and fuck, there's another shit fucking garbage addition to the movie. He kills the mob boss's girlfriend, right, and the dude that she's with.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when he pulls out that fancy gun that you like.
Yeah.
And he cuts off like two people's heads, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he holds them. He's like in the opera in front of all these billionaires or like whatever fancy people.
Mm-hmm.
And he holds the,
man,
he
and you
holds
called
the heads
it.
up while the fucking spotlight of the opera that's taking place, ballet, whatever,
Yeah.
is
You
showing
called
him
it
from the
too.
back.
It was leading up to that, and you're like, he better not do the fucking Joker.
I saw it fucking happening. I was like, why is this happening? Why is he in like an opera thing? Why is he at the ballet? There's no reason for this to be happening. I swear to I said verbatim. I think I said this verbatim. I swear to God, if they do the fucking Black Swan Joker thing where he's in the front of the fucking lights or whatever, this is the biggest pile of shit ever. Like fucking just put in whatever trope you want to put into there.
Mm-hmm.
I think I know why they did that, sort of, but
Mhm.
that might be giving them too much credit.
Mm-hmm.
So he does that, and then they just move on to the next scene, where everybody like got the fuck out of there because people's heads are getting chopped off, and he walks down to his cool '80s fucking cyberpunk car, gets in it, starts driving away. The car is black, by the way.
Yeah, and then you said that, oh, that's why that rich guy had that car, just so you had the visual of the Crow driving it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just so you can have the visual of the Crow, Eric Draven, driving this black car in his full outfit, because now he has the black leather coat. He drew on the Crow makeup on his face, and he's driving the car. And he like there's a part where he gets out of the car and he stands in front of it, and you're just looking at this like, is this supposed to look like Batman? It literally looks like the fucking Batman from the Dark Knight.
That's what I'm saying. It's supposed to look like Dark Knight.
Batmobile.
I think I know where the director was getting for that, because the original Crow kind of looked a little bit like the '89 Batman. It kind of had that same feel, so I think he thought that he could borrow it as well.
It's just it's too referential, I guess. If he did try, that might be giving him too much credit. I do not want to give him any credit, because I just feel like, where's the connection with John Wick? And so after that, he goes down to confront the big bad, the mob boss, the final bad guy.
Yeah, the necromancer, whatever he is.
Yeah, exactly. And he stabs Eric, tries to steal his powers.
Well, they have like a fucking weird talk where it's basically just a scene from Castlevania where he's just like, where he confronts Dracula or whatever at the beginning of Symphony of the Night.
Yeah.
Where he's just like, oh, you steal men's souls, and he's like, the whole meme.
Yeah.
It's basically just that.
Yeah. What's it called? One can be said of all religions.
Yeah,
all
yeah.
Religions still meant.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
They have like a stupid like confronting scene like that. It's awful.
Well, I think there was a part where it's like, we're not so different, you and I. You're an agent of vengeance, and I'm also evil in a way.
Yeah.
You see, we're both angry and we kill people and stuff like that. And then Eric like says, there's a part that's supposed to be impactful that oh, and I called that too. What was it? Well,
you called we're not so different, you and I. You said that. Like,
yeah.
I think you just said it randomly. We weren't even looking at each other or anything. You were just looking at the screen and you're like, we're not so different, you and I. And then he fucking says, we're not so different.
Yeah. No, there's something that Eric says at the end.
Uh-huh.
Because Eric, in the 1991 movie, he shoots all of the pain that Shelley felt into Top Dollar, and that's what kills him.
Right.
I think he said, like, take everything in the 1991 version. Like, take all of it. Because he's like, oh, I think he said that he was going to take his power in the 1991 version. It's been a while since I've seen it. But, and in this one, he says, something along those lines, and it's so fucking... There's something along those lines, and it's so fucking lame, because I could see it from a mile away, how fucking formulaic, and how fucking derivative in a bad way.
Yeah.
Not homage, derivative. That this movie is. So all that happens, Eric beats the main bad guy. Shelley, I guess, is he gets I think he goes back to purgatory, and it's explained to him that Shelley is going to be resurrected now. plot twist. There's been for whatever reason there's been a lot of plot twists. There's what is it called? Turns out all of this might have been in Eric's head because it when Shelley's resurrected, they both are returned to their bodies,
Mm-hmm.
and it's explained to Eric that he needs to give himself up so Shelley can live, and Eric needs to be in the purgatory
Yeah.
world, and so cuts back to them in their bodies in the moment where they're being killed,
Mm-hmm.
right after when the ambulance shows up. I mean, yeah, the emergency people show up, and Shelley's revived, and then Eric dies.
Yeah.
Cut to showing Eric's tattoo, where it has the kind of mime faces, the I don't know what you would call them, the masks.
Laugh now, cry later.
Yeah, laugh now,
masks
cry.
that every like Mexican gang member gets.
Yeah, like those opera masks that show like
Yeah.
tragedy and comedy together. Explaining why he paints his face like the Crow,
Yeah.
you know, with the face paint makeup. Fucking lame.
Yeah, it's super lame.
Fucking lame. In the comic book there was 3 masks. One that was angry, one that was sad, and one that had the smiley face on it.
Mm-hmm.
I have my own reason why I interpret that as to be more impactful than the tattoo that was on his arm. I mean, that was on his hand. I guess it's just a reason why he has a bunch of tattoos that make him look cool.
Mm-hmm.
I could understand why they did that ending.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the comic book, like I mentioned earlier, you don't understand. I mean, it's not clear if he's actually supernatural,
Mm-hmm.
or if he's actually, if he's just a dude that doesn't feel anything because he got shot in the head.
Yeah.
So maybe he just doesn't feel pain.
Yeah.
And so I can sort of understand why they did that. I assume that that's probably the only reason why they did that ending, because
Mm-hmm.
everyone would be like, "Oh, what?" You know, what a twist ending or whatever. But like, why not just bring it up through the whole movie that you don't know if it's happening or not? Like, you could have literally not done that. The Indian guy turns out to be the paramedic that goes in and revives him.
Yeah.
Right. So I just didn't. I don't know why
We
they
keep
played
saying Indian, but I don't know what that guy was.
He
But
might
we're
be
just gonna go with Indian. Who knows?
Pakistani,
Yeah.
Arab.
It don't matter.
Yeah. So, yeah. I can understand why they did that to a certain extent. I mean, the director said that he read the comic book, so maybe that was the most impactful thing to him, and that was the revelation that he got from the comic,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why he wanted to save it till the very end to explain that. But he should have just fucking said it from the very beginning.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's because they didn't want to. They didn't want anybody to know that it was a reimagining, not a remake.
Yeah.
Or like, yeah, they didn't want anybody to know that. I don't know why, because fans of the other movie said that they shouldn't remake it. There's actually like a big amount of people that say they don't want it to be remade.
Yeah.
So that was basically the movie. Fucking sucked. It's terrible.
No, it was probably the most horrible movies of the year. It was really bad.
Yeah.
It deserves all the hate that it gets. I mean, I don't know why I guess we're talking about the director now because we're like on the last 30. So, this is when we get all the hate out. I don't know why they even let this director touch this movie with like a 10-foot pole at all, because he has nothing on his resume that deserves to even be near this movie. I mean, he did like Snow White and the Huntsman, and that's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
That movie sucks, dude. He did Ghost in the Shell. That movie's fucking awful. That movie is awful. You know what I mean? It's just probably, yeah, that's another really terrible movie. He did and then The Crow, and then that's it. Everything else is just like, he did some music videos. A Foundation is a TV show. I never watched it because who gives a fuck? He has a couple shorts, and that's it. You know, they must have just gave him this movie just to have him take the fall or whatever, because they didn't have any confidence that it was going to do good anyway.
That would have been smart. You know, you just get this like fucking hack to do it. I don't even wanna.
It's a cash grab. It's a cash grab because if they really wanted it to be good, it could have been good. Christopher Nolan. I know he's a lot of money, but the movie would have made a lot of money. True. You know what I mean? Christopher Nolan casted better. They should have just reunited. They should have just reunited Bill Skarsgård and the lady from Barbarians. That lady's not in enough movies. She was amazing in that movie. She was the main character. She was strong. She was a strong female character. You cared about her. She was a great actress. Put her as if you wanted to have a black girl as the love interest, because that's what they were doing. Yeah. If you wanted to have, you should have just got her. She was great in that. They have chemistry. They had chemistry. You felt them falling in love in that movie. In this one, they had no chemistry. Him and FKA Twigs had no chemistry. It just felt like weird. It felt like a gay guy with his fucking girlfriend or whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. And not girlfriend as in girlfriend, but like friend that's a girl.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, you're right.
It was terrible. It was yeah, they have, and then that chick can't act her way out of a paper bag. And her bad acting lowered his acting ability because he had to be on the same level as her, because I know I don't know about filmmaking, but I know what goes through filmmakers' heads, and it's like, hey, you don't want to be, when you're a director, you're like, hey, Bill, like maybe like come down a little bit, because then you're making her look a little stupid. You know what I mean? Yeah. So now he has to bring it down a little bit and be even worse. And you know what I mean? It's just a bad co-star really can bring you down. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially if
That's why the best co-actor or co-actress or whatever is a category below actor, best actor in the thing, because they're just as important as the main actor.
In like the Oscars?
Yeah, in the Oscars.
Oh my God. Damn, she really fucked up that movie. I mean, especially when she's like a driving, she's a driving force in the fucking of the story.
Yeah.
Good God. So yeah, that director fucking sucks.
Yeah, no, he's terrible.
I don't want to give him too much credit too for some of the references to the comic, which I don't even know if that's really what happened, because they've been trying to produce this movie for so long. It's gone through like 4 different directors. They've had a bunch of sequels that sucked. This movie's on par with those sequels too. It's like just as boring, and just as contrived, and as big of as a cash grab. But it's gone through so many of them, and so many people that really, really, really wanted to make a good movie, that I don't even know if this how many times a script has come up, or if they took ideas from different scripts, or if they got like decent ideas like for weaving into this movie, because it's been in production for so long, or like it's been trying to get off the ground. One thing I wanted to bring up that's really funny. So did you know that while they were trying to do one of the this is how long it's been. One of the people that wanted to direct a Crow remake was Rob Zombie.
You know what?
Hold on a sec. Hold on. So he wanted. Well, he wrote a script for it. He wrote a script for it, and here, just listen to this. He wrote a script for it, and it was like The Crow 2029 or like 2042, where it was Eric Draven, the Crow, in the future, and he was you'll notice. Stop when you notice something, Tony. He was in the future, and he fought like he was in a post-apocalyptic world. There was a bunch of zombies everywhere, and Eric Draven was like a bounty hunter, right? Who got resurrected and he didn't remember any of his past life growing up before he became the Crow.
Right.
And he rides a mechanical horse, right?
Right.
And he's going to kill like a big bad guy that killed his mom.
Yeah.
That he knows, and like throughout the movie, he's remembering stuff as he's like killing different like bad guys that lead up to the biggest bad guy. All right, right. he rides a mechanical horse.
Yeah, no, I got you. I know what you're going with this.
It's a desert, like, and it's supposed to be a world where it's half advanced technology and half like gothic
Yeah, medieval shit.
medieval stuff. Okay.
Uh-huh.
I think you know where this is going now.
Yeah.
So it turns out that the script that Rob Zombie wrote was when it got declined, he just he admitted, or one of his friends admitted, or someone that was working with him admitted that it was a script that he wrote for something else that he wanted to use as he wanted to rework as a Crow movie. Guess what it was originally called?
What?
Black Rider X.
Uh-huh.
Black Rider X.
Yeah.
Black Rider X with the letter at the end.
Yeah.
Can you think of anything else that has something like that? Think about the world, the mechanical horse, the dark brooding bounty hunter main character.
I mean, it's Vampire Hunter D, right?
Yes, it
yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Vampire Hunter D. Damn, you called that. Damn.
What do you mean? You made it like really obvious.
Oh,
like
okay,
yeah.
So it was a Vampire Hunter. Yeah, I don't think he's ever admitted it or talked about it since, but
he should.
Yeah, I mean,
a live action Vampire Hunter D by Rob Zombie, written by Rob Zombie. Yeah, directed no, but
yeah, maybe with aspects by co-written, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how long this movie's been in production for.
Yeah,
where it's gone through like.
No, I mean they were supposed to. The original script was a script written by Cliff Dorman, who's known for like making the movie Warrior and Brothers.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, so he could have brought a little bit of drama to it. That was the one that Momoa wanted to do, but then that he jumped onto. But then they started rewriting a bunch of stuff and doing all this, doing all these things, and he was just like, "Nah, dude, I'm out. Like, this is not." Which, smart guy for that. I mean, he's in the Minecraft movie now, but smart guy for being like, "No, dude, this is gonna suck." Like the original script was good, but now you guys are rewriting it so much it's not even a Crow movie anymore. And then he bounced.
Well, I think it was. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
And in the original, I mean, some of the original directors that were supposed to go on it was this guy named Javier Gutierrez, too, was somebody that they tried to get to direct it. Mm-hmm. He made Rings.
Yeah.
Rings and The Wait and stuff like that.
He left The Crow because they wanted him to do The Crow and Rings at the same time. And he's like, nah, I can, everything's getting, it's getting too much for this Crow movie, dealing with the producers and stuff like that, and people putting their, too many cooks in the kitchen. So I'll just do Rings.
Yeah.
So he did that instead of the Crow movie.
Yeah, which that movie was bad too, but at least it's like, at least it was kind of the same feel that you would get from a Crow movie, not this like, basically Dark Knight John Wick movie. That's basically what they made.
You know what I mean? I wanted to bring this up too. I did a lot of research for this. Mm-hmm. So now that you brought up Dark Knight, well, first of all, let me bring this up. James O'Barr, another one of the James O'Barr wanted to make a sequel to this before that. That's after the first movie, to reiterate how long it's been, and the remake was that he wanted a woman. Supposedly, this is according to him, but they said that James O'Barr tends to like over exaggerate. He said that he wanted to make a movie where the protagonist was a woman, but it wasn't like FKA Twigs just takes over everything and she's like a girl boss and shit. Where stop me if you notice anything about this too. Where a woman on the day of her wedding gets killed by some like gangsters that want to rob I think the church, because it's a cover for like gangsters or something like that, or a drug trade or something.
Right.
And so she gets killed on the day of her wedding, and all of her guests and her husband get killed. So, stop me if you've heard this. Mm-hmm. So she gets resurrected as the Crow and hunts down all the people that killed her, all the goons that killed her on her wedding. Does that sound familiar?
God, these guys are so bereft of like ideas, man.
Okay, what do you do? That's
what do you mean? It's Kill Bill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's what James O'Barr said, but he's been known to exaggerate. Some people say that he exaggerates the truth a lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, who knows where Quentin Tarantino got the idea for? James O'Barr said that it was like a story from like Ireland where that happened.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I just wanted to bring it up how long.
Yeah, there isn't. Wait, what was he got the crow from an Irish story?
No, he got the Crow remake. Well,
Oh,
the original
okay.
Crow is based on something that happened in Detroit where well, first of all, it's based on his girlfriend fiance at the time.
Mm-hmm.
She was killed by a drunk driver. And
Oh, okay.
there's a huge biography of like James O'Barr stemming from that where it was originally a way for him when he started working on it. It became a way for him to cope with that death because he joined after it happened to him in high school,
Mm-hmm.
and so he joined the army
Mm-hmm.
to get some like stability in his life, and then he started drawing like how to manuals
Yeah.
in the army, and that's how he became an artist.
Right.
He gets out of the army, starts working as a mechanic, which Eric was a mechanic in the original comic.
Mm-hmm.
And he starts working on the Crow. Yeah, he starts working on the Crow,
Uh-huh.
and eventually he's just like still coping with the death. That's where his life basically turned upside down, and he's still like dwelling on the death of his fiance.
Yeah.
And then the Crow becomes his coping mechanism, and Shelley becomes an avatar for his fiance that was killed during the drunk driver. But the main part where their car breaks down in the comic book, their car breaks down, and then they're killed by the gang. That happened in Detroit, where some over like a $20 engagement ring because they thought it was more expensive.
Yeah.
So that's where he got the original story elements for the Crow.
Right.
Yeah.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah.
And then Poppy Z. Bright wrote a version of the Crow or whatever, and they made it into like the third movie, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Poppy Z. Bright, for everybody that doesn't know, I just want to put my things in there. She wrote like The Devil You Know and Exquisite
right.
Corpse and stuff like that. It's anyways, I read that shit because I wanted to bang a chick. So
oh God. Everybody. I mean, like I feel like a lot of dudes get into goth culture because of that. Either that or they're just kind of
well, they want to bang dudes, but
yeah.
Which can relate. So
I mean, if you're really into music and that type of like music and stuff like that, you really get into it. The Crow comic book is just Peter Murphy. It's he's the in the
oh,
original
really?
comic.
Is he based on Peter Murphy?
His face is Peter Murphy and his body is Iggy Pop.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of that comic book is so good.
Yeah.
It's really really good. And the adaptations from it are like really good, and then they just get shit after that once they get farther and farther away from the source material.
Yeah.
I guess what I really would want to see is them going back to the original story, which they sort of did in this one, but they fucked it up so bad. And just telling that version of it.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, why James O'Barr jumped on so many of the remakes, because they kept telling him that they were going to do that, and then they never did it. Because they wanted two versions of the movie. One that's like Brandon Lee's version, and then the other that's the that's his original version.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I could talk all day about the comic book.
Well, might as well.
Well, okay, well.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is kind of like the part where, I mean, we went through the movie already. Might as well.
Yeah, it fucking sucks. Don't watch it.
Yeah.
There's another scene of the well, another aspect of how they fucked up this the references to the another aspect of how they fucked up references to the comic book was, I think, that part where he's in the lights and he's got his arms to the side with the two heads, and he's like, that part is, I think, it ended up being a fucking reference to fucking Joker and and Black Swan. But I think what whoever wrote it was originally referencing in the 1991 movie when he confronts the gangs
Mm-hmm.
and he jumps on the table and he has all of them shoot him
Mm-hmm.
and he gets back up and starts killing everybody.
Yeah.
It's kind of the same thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Going back to the comic book, in the original comic book, that scene's like the climax of the story because you don't know if Eric has supernatural powers or not. So when he confronts the last bad guy, T-Bird,
Mm-hmm.
who's a black guy in that one. I don't know why they changed it in the 1991 version. They changed it to Top Dollar, who's a white guy.
Yeah.
But he confronts T-Bird, who has he has a lot of gang members with him, right?
Oh wait, wasn't in The Crow, the original one, wasn't the second in command for Top Dollar was the black dude from Candyman, wasn't it?
Oh, Tony Todd
Yeah.
or
No, it wasn't Tony Todd. It was
Candyman. Yeah, I think his name is Tony Todd.
Tony Todd. Was it Tony Todd though? I don't remember. But anyways, yeah. So they kind of flipped it. They kind of flipped it around then, because you said Top Dollar wasn't the top guy.
Top Dollar wasn't the top guy, but he wasn't like a second hand. He wasn't. I guess he could have been. He had his own operation, basically.
Oh, okay, I see.
Or that's what it seemed like to me. But
I don't know if it's Tony Todd though, but that dude had some, like, he had what did the kids say, drip or whatever?
yeah,
That dude's like, his suit, and I don't know, there's just something about wearing a suit and a turtleneck with a chain that just fucking, it looks good.
yeah, definitely.
It just always looks good.
I mean, if not if you're The Rock though. Well, I mean, I guess the.
Well, no,
fanny pack-
he didn't have a suit jacket.
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And he had a fanny pack.
and jeans that were too small, and he was fat.
Yeah.
So in the comic book, when he throws his arms out to the side, he's only been taking like maybe grazing shots and stuff.
Mhm.
But at the end, his goons are all trying to protect T-Bird, the main bad guy, and so he stands in front of them. They all have their guns, and he says, he puts out his arms and says, basically, shoot me.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You don't know if he's it. Nobody knows the mythology behind the Crow yet,
Mm-hmm.
and he's not necessarily like supernatural.
Mm-hmm.
But he puts out his arms and he says, it's not death if you don't accept it. And
Yeah.
he gets blasted by all the bad guys and stuff, and then they think that he's taking him out. This is the second to last scene,
Uh-huh.
and so they don't know if he's taking him out, and so he disappears into shadow and then starts like destroying everybody like with his bare hands. He doesn't use any guns. He like starts like cracking people's necks and like he basically goes berserker mode
Yeah.
and starts like, you know, with his bare hands killing everybody.
Yeah.
T-Bird runs away.
Mm-hmm.
Gets chased down by Eric in his car.
Yeah.
The one that he had killed that broke down and killed Shelly. They killed Shelly in. By the way, there's a big build up to why to what happened to Shelly and Eric through the whole comic book.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's pretty horrific. It's like really drawn out the way that what happened to Shelly.
Mm-hmm.
Very reminiscent of a different comic book.
Yeah.
That yeah, very reminiscent of a different comic book.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Japanese comic book. I'm
A
guessing.
Japanese one.
Yeah.
And funny enough, Eric's eye also in the comic book also does not work.
Yeah.
One of his eyes doesn't work from getting shot in the head.
Yeah.
And is white, and it leaves kind of like a scar in his eye.
Yeah.
In his eyelid. And so yeah, so he kills.
The ripping off of Berserk never ends. They're
I don't
just
know
gonna
if that's
always...
the case. 'Cause they were written around the same time.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if that's the case or not. So that was one of the things that I noticed is that, you know, he watches, you know, what happens to Shelly.
Yeah.
And so yeah, he tracks down T-Bird and then kills him, and then what is it called? And then he goes to Shelly, like in the 1991 movie, he dies, possibly dies. You don't know or not. But yeah, I think that I think they just fuck up all the references in that. I mean, I guess the black 80s car is supposed to be a reference to, you know, him being a mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
in the 2024 version, but it was a 70s car that he had. I think it was a
Wait, he was a mechanic in the original comic?
yeah,
Oh, okay, that's weird. Because
which
in
James
City of Angels, he was a mechanic.
yeah.
Yeah.
In the James O'Barr was a mechanic.
Oh, okay.
He worked in a body shop.
Oh, okay,
Um,
cool.
the original car was like a 70s I don't know if it was a Gran Torino. I think it was a
It was one of those big boat cars.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mm.
So that might have been a reference to it. There might have been a reference to um obviously the end was a reference. They're pretty much they're pretty much strewn out through the whole movie, but they're just done so shitty. Um, but yeah, it just goes to show that like maybe they should have I know James O'Barr was originally like involved with some of the other iterations of the remake,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think he was in this one. And then he even said that he didn't want them to remake it.
Yeah.
So yeah, the original director is like talking shit too about the movie, saying that like I guess no one wanted to see it because it was like it cost $50 million to make,
Mm-hmm.
and it's only made like $4 or $5 million to date.
Damn.
So,
I mean, everybody wanted to see it, but it's like they don't want to see a bad movie.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And yeah, nobody wants to see a bad movie, and you could see it was gonna be bad from a mile away.
yeah,
So studios really need to like get their shit together and just let people create. You know what I mean? Because if they don't, because they always do it with lower budget movies that are gonna release in the in the off season. Because summertime is their big like we need this is where all the money makers are. But in the off season they release like little low budget movies and things like that, and they don't even give a shit about them, so they can't stay out of them. They're just like, do what you got to do or whatever. And that's when you get some of the great the better movies, because they just let them do what they need to do, the director to do what they do, and the writer.
yeah. Well, I mean certain rewrites and stuff like that can work, but just with the right people in mind, you know.
Yeah.
Like I mean maybe not like producers meddling and stuff like that all the time, especially ones that don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, a producer can meddle every once in a while. I think we talked in the Clerks review. Harvey Weinstein.
True. Yeah.
Told.
It wasn't Harvey Weinstein. It was somebody else.
Oh, somebody else. Okay. Well, another producer told Kevin Smith like, "Hey, don't kill Dante at the end, man. That's not."
I think Harvey Weinstein usually fucks up movies. I don't know if he.
Yeah.
Well,
he fucks up a lot of things.
Yeah.
I think he's on trial again. But that's neither here nor there.
Fuck Harvey Weinstein. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I mean, yeah. There's a chance. I don't know about this director. I don't know about that guy because he was fucking saying some dumb shit. Like even before that, he was saying that he wanted to make Eric look like him during the fucking his heyday, and like making him look like Eric Post Malone and all that.
When was his heyday? This fucking director's like how old?
I don't know, like 40, maybe?
40? So when the fuck was his heyday?
I don't know.
The hell? I didn't remember anybody dressing like that when I was in fucking high school, and I'm like younger than him.
Well, I mean, I'm sure in the like
that's like a Zoomer way of dressing now.
Yeah, he said he also wanted to make it Post Malone and Machine Gun Kelly, which he did a good job of making him look like the fucking lamest dude in the world.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, if he really wanted to fuck this up, sounds like.
Yeah.
Now he's blaming everybody else. He's saying that like, the people that didn't like the movie are like people that have a lot of opinions and don't get out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So like basement dwellers and stuff. So which is funny because like if people got out a lot, they probably wouldn't watch your movie. You know, they probably like go out, be like, I don't know, talking, socializing. They wouldn't even care that your movie even existed.
Yeah.
So,
well, he's a fucking idiot anyway. As a person that gets out a lot, people don't act the way that they do in that fucking movie. So I don't know what the fuck you're talking about, you psychopath. Fucking idiot. In my fucking life, I've talked to criminals, people have murdered people, crazy drug addicts, bums, crazy kids. I already said gang members.
Goth types,
but goth types, skinheads, little club kids, little scene kids, getting out. I've been in a bunch of crazy situations and all the stuff that he probably thinks he is. You know what I mean? Because I'm pretty sure he's probably just some fucking middle class whatever that went and went somewhere and like, oh, hey, I'm gonna drink a beer. Oh, I'm gonna do a
Yeah.
little coke. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
fuck you, dude. You know what I mean? I've had a fucking wild life, and I can tell you that that fucking character and those characters are the fucking lamest. What the fuck are you talking about, dude? Like, do you think everybody that just watches movies is nerds? And if you do, then why are you even making them?
Exactly. Yeah. Or at least watches your movies or is interested in them.
Yeah.
Because who else would be wanting to fucking watch this piece
I
of
mean that statement stinks of everybody that everybody that's cool watches Marvel movie slop and is like 80 IQ.
Right.
You know? That it stinks of that. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's like, why don't you like my slop? Don't you get sex, incel? That's exactly what that freaking comment is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Go touch grass, then you're like my shit movie.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess people that like the Snow White remake and shit like that are like peak, you know, socialites and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't even imagine like standing behind like that as your seminal work.
Mm-hmm.
Or like being proud of that movie.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like, guy, worst possible person they probably could have gotten to direct it.
Definitely.
And you know, a lot of people kind of consider I don't know what, I know it's German goth
Mm-hmm.
is the aesthetic to a certain extent, but like James O'Barr is like from Detroit. Like he's from like that he's from like an American punk scene. I know Joy Division's from where?
They're from England.
They're from England. I don't know where Peter Murphy's from or like some of his inspirations and stuff.
I
like
believe
that.
it's also English.
Yeah, so it's you know, to a certain extent, like there is some like roots back to like Europe and stuff like that, but like the dude that wrote it is like a straight up American dude as far as I know.
Yeah.
So
Actually,
I just kind
let's
of,
see.
you know, I don't know. There's a lot of English. There's a lot of English imagery and like a lot of English actors in this movie. But I mean, I understand that's where the music. Iggy Pop is.
Oh, he is a British. No, Rupert Sanders is British.
Yeah.
He's
So-
from England.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Yeah. So I understand like certain influences and stuff like that, but like, it just doesn't feel like. I think that might add to why it doesn't feel like The Crow. You know.
So Sanders is married to model Liberty Ross. He's the sister of composer Atticus Ross. They moved to Los Angeles to further Sanders' career. Together, they have 2 children. U.S. Weekly published photos of Sanders and intimate embrace kissing actress Kristen Stewart, promoting Sanders and Stewart to issue public separate apologies. He filed for divorce in 2013. Oh yeah, wild.
Did he?
He
Did he bang? Didn't he bang Kristen Stewart? Kirsten.
He's the eldest son of Thalia Garlick and hospital ophthalmologist Michael Sanders. After a foundation year at Kingston School of Art, he graduated with a degree in design from Central St. Martin's. Very, very punk.
Right.
Very punk goth of him.
Well, I mean, to a certain extent, it's like, well, James O'Barr seems like a fucking,
James O'Barr is a fucking mechanic, dude whose girlfriend got killed and then he joined the army, and it's like, dude, there's nothing more punk than that.
supposedly he had stints in college.
Mm-hmm.
He said he was studying medical stuff, but that's a lot of people say that's been exaggerated. Like he had a medical major, but he wasn't like getting a doctorate or anything like that, like in medicine.
Yeah, he's just a working class guy.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, so I just don't I think he was just just the worst, just overall just wrong. The wrong dude to do it. Don't get me wrong, like some people can put themselves into
Yeah. Don't think that just because we're like middle class or we're like looking down on like rich fucks or whatever. Like they can understand they can understand different people, you know, and the
Right.
human experience. But this guy can't.
Yeah, I don't.
Obviously, if he's saying things like "go touch grass" because you didn't like my movie, you know.
Yeah, I mean he seems pretty pompous and arrogant.
Yeah.
Arrogant is probably the best word. Um, but I that's another thing too. He made a movie with Kristen Stewart, right? Um, uh, Snow. It was the Snow White movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
What? Yeah, no, he was just making out with Kristen Stewart, and he got in trouble for it or whatever. But I don't know. I don't know. That's neither here and there.
hmm. Well, there's a connection to. There's something else I wanted to talk about, so I'm going to use this as a way to connect. Robert Pattinson was the Batman, right?
Yeah.
I remember. I guess to talk about our. Should we talk about our relationship with the Crow movie at all, or do you think?
Yeah,
That,
sure. A little. We'll talk about it a little bit. Then we'll just call it a day.
okay, so like, we watched it when we were younger,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, because we're it's like came out in 1991.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was a good movie then. Lots of people were really obsessed with it,
Mm-hmm.
obviously.
Like obsessed with it. It was a
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah, it was a really big deal.
Yeah, especially in our circles because we uh ran with the outsiders, and then our older siblings are more like
Well, the goth culture and stuff
they're
like
gothy.
that,
Yeah.
and like rock music and all that stuff was a big influence. I mean, we still listen to rock music and we still listen to. I mean, you listen to Peter Murphy and all those types of bands and stuff. Um, the soundtrack. Should we talk about the soundtrack? The soundtrack wasn't that bad in the 2024
No,
version.
the soundtrack was pretty good. They had Joy Division in there. They
Yeah.
had Bauhaus, I think, was in there. Yeah, they had a good soundtrack. They usually do in these big budget movies.
I mean, that's a better. I mean, if we're gonna give the dude a compliment or whoever did the music for it, you know what? Fuck it. Whoever did the music for this, really did take inspiration from the original comic book for the soundtrack, um, because there were times where we were like, oh yeah, I recognize that song. That's a good one, um, and yeah, that song is that's a pretty good song or whatever, but it's just kind of passive through the movie.
Mm-hmm.
In the 1991 version, obviously the soundtrack is like iconic.
It's just all industrial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really popular. Like people still buy that album. I've seen.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it's the most important part of the movie. I will say this though about that soundtrack. The soundtrack is really good. If it was the 1991 Crow movie,
right,
you know what I
right,
mean?
right.
Even though I love the music, it doesn't fit the atmosphere. It doesn't fit the
That's
the
true,
movie at
yeah.
all. I mean, didn't have to the movie didn't have to be 1991 goth, but the fact that they made it the way they did, they probably should have put some new artists in there. If anybody's making if anybody's making rock or goth rock or industrial music or maybe some hardcore techno, you know what I mean, or some hardcore like electronic music, like maybe you should have put some of that in there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Elevate some of the rock music from now because that's what it did back then. You know
Yeah,
what I
the
mean?
1991
Nine Inch
version.
Nails and everybody, they were big, but they were really big after that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That pushed those bands that were on the Crow soundtrack. That pushed them like way up there. People were buying up their albums. You know. So in this one, they probably should have done that just to fit the theme a little bit more. It's like Joy Division and Peter Murphy and Bauhaus and Susie and the Banshees and stuff like that. They don't need more sales. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe try to elevate some of the goth rock bands, hard electronic, all that stuff, like bands from now. You know what I mean?
Maybe I should.
And it would have fit the aesthetic better.
Maybe I should have said it. Maybe it's just like another nod or whatever. It's just like another shoehorned in aspect of it.
Yeah.
To make it into a Crow movie.
Yeah.
Um.
Because both those characters in that movie wouldn't be listening to that. Like at least
true, yeah.
the Eric Draven from 1991, he would be listening to Nine Inch Nails and all that. You can imagine him doing that. You can't imagine FKA Twigs, who I don't even know what type of music she does. You can't imagine her, the character in there. Maybe she does in real life, but that character or Bill Skarsgård character listening to that stuff. Bill Skarsgård character, he looks like he listens to like underground rap SoundCloud rappers and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
At the
exactly.
most, maybe he listens to like new death metal or something. You know what I mean?
Right.
But and then so I just don't understand why they decided to use that soundtrack just to, I guess, just to sell a soundtrack.
Well, they shoot. There's another shoehorning in of like FKA Twigs being a classical pianist,
Mm-hmm.
which uh, is just put in there so they could have that scene where Eric goes to the opera and like kills everybody.
Yeah.
Um, so because in the comic book she was a baller. I think she was a ballerina. She likes to dance ballet and stuff.
Yeah.
Um, uh, so yeah. Regardless, it's just another shoehorned in aspect that they fucked up. Uh, with us, yeah, we're into rock music and stuff
Mm-hmm.
from like an early age. Um, seeing seeing the 1991 version, you know, uh, there's been aspects of it that I've kind of like seen throughout other media.
Mm-hmm.
It just sucks that this is the follow up to it. When I saw everybody used to dress like that dude. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
used to dress like the fucking crow.
Yeah.
For Halloween. Um, uh, and it's
It was
having that in
so
my mind.
it was so popular that wrestling stole the fucking
Stole the gimmick,
stole
yeah.
the look
Sting.
for Sting. Yeah.
Yeah. So you see how it like kind of like goes through. I thought. So this is, I guess I'm dating it a bit, but when I saw the original, the teaser trailer for The Dark Knight,
Mm-hmm.
I thought they just showed the Joker, in silhouette,
Yeah.
and so with the long coat, the long hair, and like walking with the shotgun,
Yeah.
I thought it was the Crow.
Yeah.
I thought it was a new Crow movie.
Yeah.
And so like he starts laughing and says, "Why so serious?" And I was like, "Oh, it's Joker
Yeah.
for for the fucking for the Dark Knight."
Yeah.
Um, which there is connections with that. Like, I know it's not I know it's not true,
Mm-hmm.
but like there's things where like I see in the Dark Knight, that part where he goes to the gang leaders and tells them that he's taking over,
Mm-hmm.
and they're all looking at him, and he sticks out his arms with the grenades under
Yeah.
his coat. And I just keep seeing the fucking part where he like jumps on the table and gets shot by all the gangsters and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Um, and
No, that version of the Joker was definitely, and Christopher Nolan can deny it all he wants or whatever. That was definitely inspired by The Crow.
I don't know, cause like it's just something that I always see whenever I like see that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And but who knows? But it could be. In the comic book, there is this scene where like Eric is like laughing at one of the dudes um that he's like kind of torturing before he kills him,
Mm-hmm.
and he has like written in black like kind of scratchy um letters. It says "ha ha ha" right above one after the other.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, that looks like a Joker panel.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I looked it up, and yeah, there's plenty of Joker panels where he has the ha 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 like surrounding him,
Mhm.
obviously. And so I just the movie has been around for a long time. A lot of people remember it fondly. Even newer like smart Zoomers appreciate it. So this movie is just like a huge hunk of shit.
Yeah. Well, this is we'll leave it on this because we're coming on 2 hours, but we'll leave it at this. I don't know what they could have done to make it better.
They could have done the original one. They could have done
Just a scene for scene though.
Yeah,
Just
could
like
do
a.
they could
I
do
don't
that.
know.
If you read the comic book, you'd be. I think you'd I could see that happening.
I
And
guess.
they would have to call it something different. Like it would be the Crow, but they would have to have like an asterisk in it or something like that to or a subtitle, that says it's different from the original Crow. So that way you can like know the aspects. It's something sort of new, or they're telling people that it's sort of new because it's not the same, even though it's the original.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
I mean, yeah, better director, better writing, and all that stuff, but I don't know. I don't think it was the time. It wasn't time yet.
no, I mean it's kind of half baked.
Yeah.
It's half baked, thrown together. Um, uh, let's stop reworking on it. Like it's who cares?
We need to just do it already.
Yeah, let's just get it out there.
Yeah.
Because we've it's been taking so long, and you have this mediocre product that's like jumbled and half-assed.
Yeah.
So that's the case. I mean I understand not working on something too long because it fucks it up, but like
Yeah. I mean, it's the Starfield or Cyberpunk 2077 of movies.
yeah,
But the bad part about a movie is you can't go back and put patches and do all this stuff to make people like it, because now people like Cyberpunk. Now people, oh, I don't know if people like Starfield, but I know people like Cyberpunk now. People like No Man's Sky and stuff like that. A movie, when it's done,
right.
and you can't go back and fix it.
True.
So
Well,
that's
I mean,
what movie people need to learn.
that's true. I mean, they could probably rework some of the stuff and
Mm-hmm.
make a new one. Like I think how they could do it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
the original comic book took 10 years
Yeah.
to finish because it was like a weekly, not weekly, it's probably longer than that, syndicated thing, kind of like a manga.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I think they should have. It needs a little more time to bake. It needs a little more. It needs a steady hand.
Mm-hmm.
And a calm one, to get the right feel for it out.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, we'll see. That only time will tell.
all right. Is that before? Okay, so that's pretty much the end. Before we go though,
Mhm.
something's been bothering me this entire time.
What?
Is that a gasoline I smell?
God damn it.
Kerosene tank.